That's where we're able to like make conclusions of like differences. I think as other brands have caught up using some of the same materials, like you talk about, those differences probably have like diminished, but there's not really like good published data on examining like differences in magnitude of responsiveness across individuals. Like, I've got a lot of case study data, and I've got like we do testing at my lab. Like we need to get you in the lab
Yeah.
with all the shoes that you're testing now,
Yeah. Yeah.
and like we can test you in 4 or 5 shoes in a single day, like and look at those numbers for you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and there's one study that came out that was like plus or minus 11% benefit in like these different
Yeah.
shoes. It was an Adidas backed study, and they showed even within their like Adidas super shoe prototypes and like elite Kenyans, there was some shoes in that lineup that some of the guys were getting like an 11% running economy benefit and others an 11% decrement.
Oh, wow.
Which is like 22% swing, which is just insane. Like that's equipment noise. It's not.
Yeah.
That's not the level of individual responsiveness we're seeing. Like so, no one's getting a 10% benefit in a super shoe compared to like a traditional shoe or another super shoe. Like for sake of example, like in those magnitudes, like if I test myself in the Alpha Fly, which is like the best shoe I ever test in, usually like 4 or 5% compared to like my standard control shoe, to a Croc, like your gardening clog, right? That's like 8% difference for me. So like to have a 20% swing is like that's equipment noise. So some stuff got like overblown with like hyper responders in super shoes. Like we've gone back, we've got like a reliability study that's about to get published that looked at like how consistent your metabolic card is, like that's making these readings, like how we're making these interpretations, like how consistent it is. And like I feel confident like in our lab with our equipment, like any difference is greater than 1%, like on a given day between two shoes for you, like we can make conclusions on that. But we went and analyzed like our old group data for them at our original study. If you just look like the amount of noise, not like repeatability, there's probably like most of the shoes we look at, you can't really say like, oh, that's a high responder, that's a low responder. Like if we did the study again, that person might be like here today and here the next time. And like, so all that to say, there's like, I don't feel like we have good data out there to say like who is a high responder and a low responder. I feel good if I take you into the lab individually, like we can make conclusions on a given day in that shoe lineup to give you good recommendations. And I can tell you what's probably a wash. But to be like some people are getting a 5% benefit in this shoe and others a 2%, and I think it's harder to make those comparisons so far. But.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, my assumption was that it was much larger than that, but it sounds like that's a lot of.
I don't think the differences are nearly as big as people have made. Like I mean, like when Chep Nagetic ran sub 210, and people were like, oh, is it because she switched shoes and getting a 5% benefit now? Like I don't think she went from she was in the Vaporfly and then went to the Alpha 3 or something.
Yeah.
I don't think there was another like phase change of 5-6% on top of that.
Yeah, some of it's got to be her just getting faster.
yeah. I mean, people can discuss all the potentials for that. Yeah. But.
Yeah. Well, and that's the big kind of worry about it. It seems is that there, like whatever variability there is, if there were like hyper responders and non-responders and things like that, then you have this situation where you add another variable to sport essentially that's going to select. Especially when you get to the top tier where, a percentage could be the difference between being first or fifth at a big race. And now all of a sudden the shoe could actually cover that sort of a difference.